Senator McCain repeated the refrain again today that he has Barack Obama and the Democrats right where he wants them. I imagine a mouse in an open field, shaking his little mouse fist and yelling the same thing up at a hungry hawk circling him overhead. McCain telling his supporters about his confidence seemed misplaced when he first unveiled the line last week. Now it seems downright bizarre, 2 weeks before Election Day, as yet another poll, our own NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, shows things turning for the much, much worse for the McCain-Palin ticket. Whoever's fault it is, these numbers are kind of gobsmacking. The head-to-head matchup nationally shows Senator Obama leading McCain by 10 points. That's up from 6 points just 2.5 weeks ago. And that number is not the worst of this story for John McCain. The worst news for him is about his relentless character attacks on Barack Obama. Obama hearts terrorists. Obama's a commie. Obama wants to kill babies. These attacks for which Senator McCain has risked his reputation, his political brand, and I'm convinced a good chunk of the civic health of the nation. Those attacks are demonstrably, according to NBC's new poll, not working. Senator Obama's negatives have gone down. His positives have gone up. Obama is now seen positively by 56% of Americans. That's up from 52%. His negatives are down from 35% to 33%. How about the Bill Ayers attack specifically, which is still in the McCain arsenal even today?
He was friends with a terrorist and his wife. He was. And we need to know the full relationship. And we need to know all of those relationships. The American people need to know it.
Apparently when he says we, Senator McCain means himself, his campaign, and a teeny, tiny sliver of the electorate. Nobody else seems to care much. Asked to pick which two things worry them the most about Senator Obama, William Ayers ranked exactly 5th. Far behind, none of these cause concern, which led the way. In addition to their attacks on Obama apparently missing the mark, the poll has one other jump-off-the-page finding. People really aren't jumping on the Sarah Palin bandwagon, contrary to what McCain campaign manager Rick Davis might think or wish.
She's become a real force in this campaign. You know, when you put her in these communities, huge crowds, enthusiastic crowds, people bringing their kids, they want to see this historic woman.
They may want to see her, but if you believe the polls, they sure don't think she's qualified to be commander-in-chief. And they apparently worry about John McCain's judgment based on the fact that he picked her. 34% of respondents say McCain's vice presidential pick is not qualified to be president. Incredibly, she's even 11 points more of a drag on Senator McCain than President Bush is. Now, before you go and dump that giant jug of Gatorade all over David Axelrod, there are still major risks out there for the Obama campaign. First, there's the risk of overconfidence.
The tectonic plates are changing, and it serves us well. And I think it will mean that Barack Obama, and I said this 6 months ago, before the financial crisis, I said it publicly, will get more than 300 electoral votes.
Ta-da! Overconfidence. How else could the Democrats lose this one? How about voter suppression? Very scary stuff. We'll be joined by Robert Kennedy Jr. to talk about that in just a moment on tonight's show. But finally, there's one last big caveat about tonight's poll numbers. That 10-point spread represents a national poll of registered voters, not, I repeat, not a state-by-state poll. Barack Obama can pile up as much of the popular vote as he wants to. He can win by 100% in California if he wants to, but it's still going to come down to those all-important battleground states. What do they show? Well, in Ohio, Barack Obama leads by less than 2% in the pollster.com average of recent polls done there. The race is also a dead heat in Florida, where Obama leads by just under 3%. So, are Obama supporters still feeling cocky and landslidey like Senator Schumer? As Democrats find out every 4 years, this thing is won and more often lost in the battleground states. One of the most important this time around is the great Commonwealth of Virginia. Joining us now is the former governor of Virginia, Doug Wilder. He was the first African-American to be elected governor of a U.S. state back in 1989. He's currently the mayor of Richmond, Virginia, and he is an Obama supporter. Governor Wilder, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Rachel, it's my extreme pleasure to join with you.
Thank you. You are scheduled to appear with Senator Obama at an event tomorrow in Richmond. What does Senator Obama have to do to close the deal in Virginia? Can you imagine a scenario in which he loses there?
Well, no, I can't imagine a scenario in which he loses. He keeps it in the road, but he's done something that I find very, very good and reassuring to me. Others may have told him, but he has adhered to what I asked him to do and advised him to do, and that is go to the people. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take a state not being for you for granted. Stay with the people. Go to the rural areas. Let them hear you, see you, touch you, feel you. Know and get a different idea as to the precise person that you are. He has done just that. Don't get down into the mud. He hasn't done that. And speak to the issues, because people are always ahead of the leaders. I'm impressed with the campaign. It's done an excellent job. We have almost 50 offices here in Virginia. He's campaigning in Virginia, all over the state. And you're right, he's going to be in the capital city here tomorrow talking about his vision for doing better things for America.
I know that that trip tomorrow, I think, is going to be his 8th trip to Virginia since the primaries ended, which is remarkable for a Democratic candidate.
It is remarkable, indeed.
But
more importantly...
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, sir.
What he's doing is not taking polls for granted. He's going to the small places. He's going to the big cities. He's talking to people. He's engaging with them. And your point is absolutely well taken. Don't take anything for granted. Polls are so misleading on occasions. National polls are one thing, as you point out. State polls are quite differently. And then, as you point out again, so excellently, a slip of the lip in some cases can bring it all tumbling down. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
The polls do look good for Senator Obama right now in Virginia. You know from personal experience that Virginia polls can sometimes be deceiving. I wonder if you could describe for our viewers what the polls showed for you before Election Day back in 1989 and how that turned out.
Well, just about this point out from the polls, they showed me with a double-digit lead. The polls that were taken by people. My internal polls, however, showed me with a plus or minus 2 points, up or down. And yet the exit polls, again, had me up. But I want to point out something. Polling has become more perfected. People are now doing a better job, a better demographic, a better matrix, not oversampling. You look at the last poll that was projected in our friend Senator Harold Ford's Senate race, rather, in Tennessee. Those polls had him where he ended up, 3 to 5 points off. Same thing with Ron Kirk, who was the mayor of Dallas, who ran for the Senate seat in Texas. And what I'm saying is that there is a perfection in the taking of the polls, and yet people are seeing that the errors that we found with my case and Tom Bradley's case and Dave Dankins' case, I don't expect you're going to see that. I do predict one thing. You'll see a reverse Bradley effect. There are going to be some Republicans, particularly here in Virginia, who may not say to anyone that they're going to vote for Barack Obama, but they will. And I can tell you just from looking at bumper stickers and looking at signs on automobiles, this state is energized. And they are very independent people here. They don't want to be taken for granted by anybody. And that's why McCain has had to campaign here and spend a great deal of resources that otherwise he might not have thought he had to do so. Barack is for the real deal, and that is for all of the people. One thing I'm so excited about in his campaign, he doesn't have a special message. It's one of unity, uniting, changing, bringing us all together.
Governor Wilder, I have one last very quick question for you in the last couple seconds we have left here. Senator McCain's brother recently referred to Northern Virginia as communist country. His spokesperson this week said that areas of Northern Virginia that may be leaning toward Obama are not, quote, real Virginia. Very briefly, how does that play in Northern Virginia?
I would like it to play over and over and over again. Let him keep saying that, and he will find out who the real Virginians are. I predict that he is the kind of support that Obama needs.
Doug Wilder, former governor of Virginia, current mayor of Richmond. Sir, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very, very much. My pleasure.